BYDFi is a crypto exchange on desktop and mobile where you can spot trade, futures trade, use leverage tokens, and copy the trades of top trade. There's hundreds of crypto available on their spot exchange, as well as a free test account so you can practice futures trading without getting wrecked. BYDFi. Hello everybody, welcome back. This is the morning after the dump before, which, well, let's just say, it was a pretty big one, but it wasn't all that bad when you're looking at on traditional markets. This is S&P. No, it's not actually. This is the Nasdaq futures, or a CFD traded Nasdaq equivalent. So this would be the key, I think, for today, moving into the American market opens. So that's not for a little while yet, 5.5 hours basically, before we see any real price action. So the most important thing is, I can't get my words out here. The most important thing is to see is that actually yesterday we saw a dump into a 20 and a 21 exponential on a daily. So it's just a Bollinger Band retest. You know, we've seen dips in the past, very recent past, of 4%, where we actually came dipping down lower than that on the Nasdaq. This dip, the dip yesterday wasn't that bad. It was a 2% in the day. It was a 3% over 2 days. So it's actually not as bad. But Bitcoin at the same time hit a new all-time high, or should I say basically just approached its previous all-time high and came down and had a very bad overreaction from that basically. So looking at this on the daily, it's not all that bad. We were talking on the live stream last night, and we were saying, look, the chances are it does all bounce because it's a bullish market. That is the chances are we do see that bounce, and then it depends on where the dailies close. Depends on how bullish we are across the board. So looking at yesterday's we closed on the daily above the 7 simple moving average. So we tested it the day before, closed above it yesterday. We dipped down a little bit, and now we're moving above this major area. This it's basically 65,500. So look, it's still getting bought the hell up, isn't it really? People are just really not willing to miss out on this whatsoever. So Bitcoin basically proving to everybody as of this moment in time that it doesn't particularly care. So let's move it on to the 4 hourly, back above all moving averages of significance. That's fine. And it was nothing more than a golden cross retest when you're looking at candle body closures. So, what can you say about this? What is there to say? If you're basing it on technicals, then it's actually okay at this point. It is actually okay. You would start to get a little concerned as you approach these areas. So we're talking 66,500-ish, more or less where we are right now. And also these flat bodies over here, 68,200. But this can go on to new all-time highs, even today, definitely can. But we're going to need to keep our eyes on Nasdaq and S&P futures and just S&P in general, because yesterday, if we had paid attention, we would have seen that they were opening up with gaps, and the pre-market was a warning into that American Open that we were actually going to get a bit of a dump, not just on stocks, but that could have crossed over and did cross over to crypto. They're all tied in quite nicely together. Love it or hate it. Right, so just a quick update on Ethereum, which is the driver of altcoins, in the green, full-on V-shape recovery. So on the 4 hourly, it did exactly what Bitcoin did, but worse, and then recovered, so it did exactly what Bitcoin's doing, but better. Take it to a daily, nothing more than a retest of the Bollinger Band. In fact, bullish, very bullish, because we wicked right into it, didn't even touch it, shot straight back, and now we're looking like we want to go for a new local high. So this does make it feel like altcoins are going to benefit from this. You can already see that, obviously, on the dominance chart. This is exactly what you'd expect to see, given what we've seen with Bitcoin and Ethereum. Ethereum's driving this market, but all these altcoins pumping pretty hard now. And I say pumping pretty hard, they're recovering quite well. I mean, XRP, from that setup that we talked about yesterday, there was only one setup to rule them all, and basically it got hit, which was the Golden Cross retest on the 4 hourly. Oh, it's on the daily. There you go, bang. Up and away. We're now pushing the resistance of 61. Break that though, we do look for the full-on recovery, and not just a V-shaped recovery, but a complete tear up. This is where XRP can start to really steal the show now. So yeah, I mean, very impressive move down, but also a very optimistic buyback. And as much as I want to focus on the crypto side of things, I think the traditional market side of things is probably as, if not more important, because the main thing to think about is that, of course, crypto looks kind of reassured by Ethereum's strength and also by Bitcoin's, I suppose. But if we do start to consolidate on this, and we'll be consolidating from basically a new all-time high, ever so slightly, then, let's just say that we find that stocks indices also want to consolidate, we could be consolidating for a couple of months, and that might mean that Bitcoin comes down by 30 or 40%, and that might mean that altcoins come down by 40 to 70%. It is true. I'm not saying that that's going to happen. It doesn't look like that is what's going to happen right now, based on Ethereum, which is basically amazingly in the green, but it could. So I would focus today, and maybe even over this next week, unless of course you bought the dip last night, which is good for you if you did. I would be focusing on the bigger picture. S&P, Nasdaq opens. Dixie is effectively downtrending, so there's not really any reason for us to be particularly afraid of the overall market based on the Forex side of things. So we should be thinking, let's play it safe. Let's see how S&P futures moves throughout the day. Technically, at the moment, it's kind of unchanged, but it's still okay if you based it on the daily, based on a 10 exponential. That is normally something you'd expect to see getting picked up from there to continue on. It wasn't a chaos move. It just was for crypto. Same thing on the 4-hourly, that it's getting picked up on the 50 exponential. If you start seeing 4-hourly closures below about 5,065, we might start to see this turn down a bit more and consolidate below 5,000. Again, they're not massive moves, but if the markets are all tied very neatly together, which they are, they're very much intertwined, aren't they? Then you have to think that whatever stocks are doing, or major indices, especially the tech stocks as well, whatever they're doing may overlap into crypto, and with that will come a consolidation across the board. So look, it's still a decent trading environment, I have to say. If you've got the balls and the patience, the ability, the time to make use of these charts, you can scalp the hell out of them. It's going to be a volatile, and it has been a volatile 12 hours, but are you prepared to put your balls on the line, which is what I've been saying on the Patreon? That's the one way to think about it. You've got to have steel balls, because if they get kicked, you can't start shouting and crying, someone kicked my balls. Yeah, you laid your balls out to get kicked, so just remember that. If you wanna act tough, then don't cry when you get kicked in the balls. Right, so that's it basically. There's nothing much more to say than that. I'm happy to sit and wait, see what goes on the S&P over the next 12 hours or so, really, into the American Open, and rather than trying to get too clever on crypto, basing analysis on individual altcoins, recognize that there's a domino effect. So your altcoin is tied into Ethereum, which is tied into Bitcoin, which is tied into S&P, which is tied into Nasdaq, which is tied into the Dixie, which is tied into any politician who wants to fart in a microphone in the wrong direction. So that, at the moment, we are living within a glass house, and we're just trying to maintain those windows. We don't want it to break, because if it does break, it's all going to come down. And it's not a problem either, because it's all been going up for such a long period of time. We've become pretty rich, haven't we? Over the last 18 months, it's been pretty easy, I would say, to make money. It's not been hard. So let's think about how we can preserve that wealth, and also plan for the next opportunity that offers less risk to reward, because at the moment it's a little risky. We're hanging in the balance of American markets. Right, I'm going to leave it with you there. Hope you have a nice day, guys. If you want to join the Patreon, links in the description. Otherwise, take it easy.